Hi, everybody. So I've been doing some research lately, and I feel like the research has been making me a little gloomy. And just because everything that I'm finding is not positive. So I've been doing a lot of research on Nuyoricans, most specifically, and just basically how we're doing as a group. And I know that once I say what I'm about to say, people are going to be like, duh, or no shit, right? But I think when you kind of like see the numbers and you read the stats and you're like, wow, you maybe a part of me thought that we would be doing better as a group than than all of the negative stereotypes that you hear. Like I wanted it to be like, okay, this is not all of this is true, because I know that a lot of us don't even live in New York City anymore, myself included. I've been out of New York City for what? We've been out of what, like almost
2006.
Since 2006. Yeah, we live in New York, but we don't live in New York City. And you'd be surprised how even if you're still in the state of New York, but you're not in the inner city, when we do go back, how different we feel. We just kind of look at things like, oh, especially if we go to like the not so great areas, we're like, oh man, we grew up in in these types of environments, like shit, and we really we got out. And sometimes you don't realize it until you go back. And I think that I'm trying to not be discouraged, especially for what I said, what I want my platform to be about. And I think now it's a part of my due diligence to kind of bring forth, which is what I will do, bring forth the information that I've been finding. And it's also, the information is limited because we are lumped with other Latino groups. So as much as I know I've done videos of us being our own race and whatnot, in a way, in this country, we are lumped into the same group. So then when you're trying to do things to help certain groups within your group, it becomes a little more difficult because they just treat you all as the same. And that even makes it hard to find, really accurate statistics for your own group. But nonetheless, I'm going to try my best anyway. And even if the news is not going to be so great, I still want to share it anyway. I'm on the one hand, it's like it's sharing it. And on the other hand, is sharing it going to benefit anybody, or is sharing it going to be used as a means to for people to degrade us even more? So that's also another thing that I've been fighting in my head. Because from some of the stats that I've read, like, we're doing worse than a lot of the groups that you hear about that are always being put down on social media. Like, we're doing way worse than any of those groups. And I have him here. I haven't asked him anything yet. And the thing is like, because of the work that he does, which I try not to get into, because I know that would be its separate thing if he wants to get into that on my channel. But because he's worked with that population for such a long time, especially those with like a criminal background, he knows a lot more than I know. And as far as like from what you've seen as like with our group, do you see that we've been doing better at all from what you've seen?
Well, put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I can't tell. And the reason why I can't tell is because the Latin group is lumped into one thing. For example, demographics questions that we ask during admissions and intake. I work in nonprofit social services, by the way. The question is Hispanic, yes or no? And then the following question is white Hispanic or black Hispanic, right? I mean, those questions can change up in the future,
they throw us in the racial categories.
Right. But right now, that's what you need to answer, right? But as far as what I can tell, it seems like there's less and less Puerto Ricans being served. And that kind of matches the demographics in New York City, right? Less and less Puerto Ricans live in New York City, and it's being not necessarily in a positive or negative way, but it's being replaced or displaced by Central Americans, Mexicans, and Dominicans, other Latin groups. So,
and when you look at it from a common sense standpoint, with the rise of rents and everything, and just the cost of living in New York City, And when you correlate that to just how bad Puerto Ricans are doing, it's kind of like they're just being pushed out. So Puerto Ricans have been moving out of New York City for a while now, but because if you look at how bad they are doing, like financially, it's like they really have no choice but to move out in a lot of cases, unless you're talking about certain groups that maybe be living off of like welfare and stuff like that, that is high. Unfortunately, that is high. But the thing is that from what I know about that the laws on that are being cracked so hard too, that I think even with that, they have to still get out of this New York City because of that.
I mean, look, I can't tell if the Puerto Rican group itself is doing better or worse, but it's still the same. People are still committing the same type of crimes. You know, you're talking about stealing, using drugs, selling drugs, right? But it's not, I can't tell as far as the violence, because it seems like with the changes in the law, you know, and the push towards having less jails and stuff like that, I can't tell if it's because people are getting, what the hell? We just got hit by a branch or something.
And you see our toilet paper that back there. We just went food shopping.
Oh, what was I just saying? Oh, the type of crimes. Yeah, I mean, the type of crimes, as far as the violence stuff, because of the change in law and what they're trying to do with not removing jails, but like eliminating, there's more of a push to eliminate jails across the United States, right? So some of these crimes are downplayed more in replace of like community service, or you get mandated to do volunteer work instead of going to jail for 30 days, let's say. So I can't tell, because things are changing and it's very fluid right now. I think within the next 5 years, as things hunker down, that's when we can have better statistics on, like, you know, criminality or arrest versus conviction charges. So, you know, I can't tell. But the group itself seems like, you know, it's matching the demographics of New York City. You know, less Puerto Ricans are being serviced because there's just less Puerto Ricans in New York City. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And I think another thing that has to be factored in, and this is kind of a point, it's not even kind of, this is one of the big points that I used to make when I had an old channel. And when I made this point on my old channel, people wanted to argue with me. And unfortunately, from my findings, I've just, and of course, it's also common sense when you live here. But we are very similar, and our problems are very similar to those of the African American community. And I said that in my old channel, and I'm saying this again. Regardless of whether people want to come in here and start to argue with me or whatever, then go look it up for yourself. And especially when it comes down to you know, the broken families. And I'm not trying to get into too much of Moynihan, but
yeah,
there is a lot that really does affect our community a lot. That there's a lot more Puerto Rican broken families, a lot of people that I had just from growing up within a certain environment. And that all of that really is really doing damage to us. A lot of children out of wedlock. A lot of the women are having children out of wedlock with different people, similar to the complaints that you hear about in the Black American community. And it's, from what I read, it sounds like we're actually a lot worse off. But you know, you don't really hear about it. What you do hear about is just us being bashed constantly by fellow Latinos.
There's been like a history of like just messed up things happening, right? You had like the selling the American dream to the Puerto Ricans coming over here to the U.S., right? That was during the 50s and 60s, Operation Bootstrap and whatnot. And then now you have like natural disaster, Hurricane Maria, displacing people, right? So you got that next, I guess that would be the next generation,
right,
of influx
of them coming here,
of having problems again,
yeah.
Right? So back in Operation Bootstrap, the original reason of leaving the island was, again, better opportunities. There's more opportunities on the mainland. Bullshit. Right? And then now it's like we have not we, because I'm not Puerto Rican, but we have no choice to leave the island because there's nothing there.
There's nothing there,
right?
yeah. The crime
Homes
there
are still
is
being rebuilt. I mean, because of the natural
and from what I
disaster.
read recently, also the crime there is worse than anywhere around the world at this point. The gun violence and everything is like the worst anywhere
that
around
gotta
the
be a
world.
setup. How are all those guns getting to Puerto Rico, besides from the military base?
Well, what comes from crime normally comes from what? Poverty, right? They were already, what was it, 72 trillion in debt prior to the hurricane. So how bad does it have to be at this point? How much worse could it possibly be? It was already horrible then. When I spoke to people from Puerto Rico, from the island, they all told me the same thing. There was nothing there before. There's really nothing there now. The infrastructure, everything is.
Well, look at the Puerto Rican staple, right? The what the hell? The benin, pork shoulders,
pork
right?
Shoulder. Yeah.
Yo, that's how is a Puerto Rican staple being imported to the island? How is that being imported to the island?
Then. See, so and sometimes it's kind of good that he brought up like stuff from the island, because I've had a couple of people come to my channel recently, kind of insulting those of us here, especially the Nuyoricans, but yet they kind of pedestalize the ones from the island as if they're so much higher in class, that they're doing so much better. Meanwhile, from what it sounds like, look, we're all not doing so great, and it sounds like the ones from over there are probably doing a lot worse, but the ones here are really not doing good either. We're not doing good either.
But the majority of the group, and I don't want to say that the half the group is middle class, because that's not true. I mean,
no, it's not.
I think there's more still trying to come up than people who made it, right? Like
on both sides, and then I think I've said this before, but my mom's side of the family, everybody's married to white Americans. So all of my cousins on my mom's side of the family, they're all half white. Not that means anything, but they've also, by doing that, they've assimilated to white American culture. So my cousins who are half, let's say they're Italian, Irish, Puerto Rican, Mexican, right? They've just completely assimilated to white American culture, and they really don't identify with Latino or anything, none of it. I mean, and I'm pretty whitewashed myself. My father's side of the family is a little bit different. They marry Latinos, but like a couple of them are married to Ecuadorians, and then the other people just married to other Puerto Ricans. So, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going off topic. I don't mean to talk anymore.
Yeah, I think that's about it. This is kind of an update, in a way. It's like, okay, like I have stuff on the way, but and I don't like doing videos like that where it's kind of like stuff on the way and it's not particularly done yet. But this is also like the holidays, and the more research that I've been doing, the more depressed I've been getting, and I try not to, but it just doesn't feel good when you want better, but then it's like, God, like how would we go about it? And it's like, YouTube videos aren't going to make things better. It's boots on the ground that makes things better. It's people like him that, to a degree, even though he may not realize it, it's what he does for a living that makes things better. When you're helping a certain demographic of people around, and by helping them, then that's helping the community, and that's making things better. But this would just be for information purposes, and that's it. It's not, I don't know if I'm gonna necessarily make anything better. I would hope to help with people speak up, though. Again, like that's one thing that I would like, if I can do anything, is just if I can get us to talk. Can we talk? Can people talk? You want to come on here and curse me out and say everything that I say is wrong and then prove me wrong? Fine, do it, please. But like there's just none of us on here. I'm noticing. So hopefully I could at least get folks to do that. But until then, I'm gonna go for now. And thank you all for watching. I have no idea how I get so many views, but I appreciate all of them. See you guys in the next one.